Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. We take a pile of sources, pull out the crucial bits, and find those surprising facts you'll want to share. Today we're diving into something really, perplexing happening in professional sports, specifically in the Cleveland quarterback room. Imagine this. You've got hard numbers, undeniable performance, things that should be screaming loudest, right? But something else seems to be driving the story there. We're talking about a player who, looking at the stats, seems to be outplaying the others, yet his name, it's kind of conspicuously missing from the main conversations. It's a real paradox, and it definitely needs a closer look. So our mission today is to unpack the sources, shedding light on this weird silence. We'll look at the facts, the unspoken stuff, and maybe what it means for sports narratives going forward.
It's a really fascinating case study, actually. And yeah, we'll get into the stats, absolutely. But what our deep dive into these sources really highlights is, this isn't just about football performance. It feels like a window into the cultural, political, even business dynamics swirling around in sports today. We're going to try and peel back those layers for you.
Okay, so let's jump right into the data. The hard numbers our sources have pulled together. What do they tell us straight off about Sanders' preseason? Well, the sources laid out pretty clearly. Shedeur Sanders, 49 completions on 70 attempts. That's a 70% completion rate. Pretty impressive. And 6 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. 0.
Right. And then you put that next to the others like the sources do, and the differences are, they're stark. Take Dillon Gabriel. He's got 51 completions, but on 91 attempts. So that's 56% completion, plus 3 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions. And the really interesting part, Gabriel is reportedly getting all the first-team reps.
All of them. Wow.
Yeah. Then you got Joe Flacco, 43 of 74, so 58% completion, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. And Kenny Pickett, 24 for 34, which is also 70% like Sanders, 3 touchdowns, but 1 interception.
So Sanders has the most TDs and 0 INTs.
Exactly. In any, rational QB room evaluation, you'd think Sanders would at least be seriously in the mix for those first-team snaps. But in Cleveland, the sources say, quote, the conversation ends the moment his name is brought up, if it ever even gets that far.
It's like they're deliberately ignoring the elephant in the room, an elephant throwing touchdown passes. How do you even do that? Our sources describe him as like the unspoken ghost in the quarterback room.
Yeah.
Even though he's statistically outplaying everyone. You hear these whispers, right? So he still has more to prove.
Yeah. But then the material we looked at just fires back with this great question. What more can a young QB prove than 6 touchdowns, 0 picks, and a 70% completion rate? Seriously. It really does force you to ask, okay, why the silence then, if it's not performance? And our deep dive suggests it's deeper than just football X's and O's. It seems tied into the culture, the politics, the business side of things. The sources basically say that saying Shedeur Sanders' name, it's loaded. It means you're not just talking about a good QB. You're acknowledging he's the son of Deion Sanders, who himself was, one of the most disruptive forces the establishment has ever seen. And with that name comes the fan base, the media frenzy, that whole media gravity he carries with every snap.
Right, which takes us to this Dillon Gabriel dilemma that the sources outline. Look, Gabriel's acknowledged as talented, sure, but that inconsistency, the 56% completion, the picks, it's there in the numbers. So the analysis we reviewed suggests maybe he got the keys, those first-team reps, not purely because he earned them on the field, but maybe because the path was sort of cleared for it.
That's the implication.
Yeah. It feels less about stats and more about, comfort, control. Gabriel maybe fits a mold the staff feels like safer with. Sanders, he brings that storm, as the source puts it. And maybe they're terrified of the thunder.
And you see this reflected in the public treatment, right? It's really striking. Gabriel gets the public nods, encouragement, trust he's talked about. He's in the active discussion with Flacco and Pickett. Sanders, meanwhile, it's like he's made invisible. And the sources stress this deliberately, strategically, and politically.
Right. Yeah, it really does speak volumes, doesn't it? And the media angle here is just, wow, there's a real irony the sources point out. Think about it. Without Sanders even being there, would this QB competition be getting this much attention? Probably not, right? The sources say he drew the national eyes, the tweets, headlines, social debates, interviews. He was the reason people were looking.
Exactly. He brought the spotlight. But then once he's actually inside the system, the team seems to be trying to, mute him. Our sources call it the media machine that forgot its source. Suddenly, media access has shifted. Questions about Shedeur dodged. His name gets, sanitized from team pressers like it's a liability. It points to this refusal, this unwillingness to let the public actually see what seems obvious inside. He's playing better than the others right now.
So why? Why the taboo? Why make him the invisible man? The picture painted by the sources is that Shedeur Sanders isn't just another player. He's a brand. I mean, he shows up with confidence, charisma, and legacy. And he seems to challenge systems just by existing within them unapologetically.
Yeah, and that seems to be where the perceived threat comes in. Our sources suggest there are people in the front office who just want a quarterback who will, just play ball, keep it quiet, no noise, no name bigger than the logo on the helmet, and maybe, crucially, no father with a gold jacket on the sideline, Sanders, just by being who he is, disrupts all that.
And have you noticed? Well, the sources point this out clearly. The lack of public praise, the no encouragement, no accolades. Where are the quotes about his leadership, his poise, accuracy, pocket presence? You hear that stuff all the time about guys putting up worse numbers. For him, crickets. It's noticeable, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And the sources argue this isn't accidental. It's a strategy.
Yeah.
Because if you do bring up his name, if you acknowledge him, well, then you have to acknowledge the performance, and that forces you to confront the reality that he's outplaying the others, which could derail the whole plan, whatever that plan might be.
So what is the fear, really, according to the sources?
Well, it could be a mix of things. Maybe the pressure he brings, Deion's shadow, definitely, or maybe it's about the kind of QB Sanders represents, one that maybe breaks their image of what a young NFL signal caller should look and act like.
Right.
The claim from the sources is pretty blunt. It's not about ability, it's about accessibility. Meaning, they want players they feel they can easily manage, shape, and brand in their own image. Sanders. He shows up fully formed, self-defined, and media-proven, and the conclusion drawn is that that scares them more than any interception could.
It's a powerful argument.
Yeah.
But the sources don't end there. They look ahead, suggesting maybe we just need to let the game speak.
Yeah, there's this sense of inevitability in the analysis. The idea is the numbers will keep piling up. You can't hide those forever. The film won't lie. Eventually, fans will see it, teammates will whisper it, and then the public will begin to demand it.
Because substance eventually wins out.
That's the core idea. The sources use this phrase, real recognizes real. The argument is that the football world ultimately doesn't run on favoritism forever. At some point, the box score starts shouting louder than any coach's whisper, or any front office silence for that matter.
And the prediction is clear. When that tipping point comes, they just won't be able to keep hiding Shedeur Sanders. Not behind protocol, not behind politics, not behind PR spin. Eventually, they'll have to say his name.
And the final thought from the sources on this is really provocative. It's like, you can't keep a rising tide in a box. The assertion is, Shedeur Sanders has already arrived. They just haven't acknowledged it yet.
It leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When that dam finally breaks, when the performance becomes just too undeniable, every one of those stats, every throw, every moment they tried to keep him quiet, it all just becomes part of this larger story. The story they tried to erase but couldn't.
Exactly.
Because the ultimate takeaway from the sources we reviewed is this. No matter how hard they might try to avoid saying his name, the truth finds its way out. The truth that he was always the best quarterback in that room, and they knew it. They just didn't want you to know it, too.